it can even go down to something as simple as your sports team. I grew up in LA, and at the time, the LA Raiders were in Los Angeles, and they had this reputation of being like the thugs of the NFL. Gang members would wear their colors. NWA would always wear Raider colors like that. If you went to a game and you got out of there alive, you would see that the Raider fans would dress like thugs. They were becoming like the image of what they worshiped.
And just to kind of draw on that imagery, I grew up in the Philadelphia area in the early 2000s. Allen Iverson and his imagery not only did take over the NBA, but the city. He was a culture mover. It was worshipful for sure.
Yeah, no, I loved AI. He was a great player.
Yeah, he was.
But that brings us to people and Elohim and the effect that worship has on them. Because only God can handle worship. It's powerful. And only God, only Yahweh, Jehovah, can handle that worship. People cannot. And that's why our celebrities tend to go nuts. They're quasi-worshipped. You go to a concert.
It's true.
What are you doing? You're holding your hands up. You're crying. You're giving your oblation to this person. You're singing like them. You're walking and talking like them. We can't handle that as human beings. That is too much for us. And that's why celebrities tend to go off the deep end, because one of the reasons why they go off the deep end, because they are not.
There's this thing called MK Ultra too, if you haven't heard of it.
Well, that's a whole other thing. But even people who haven't been MK Ultra, that status really affects them tremendously. And yeah, MK Ultra is a big part of it as well, because a lot of these, as you know, a lot of these celebrities have gone through that, and they're positioned that way. Even so, they still get warped by it. But that's also true of the fallen Elohim. Worship is like heroin to them. It's addictive. They want more and more of it. So let's look at this scenario. Let's say that you're a good angel at the time. You were put over a nation. You'll say you were put over Mesopotamia or Persia, that area. You were the Elohim of that area. And remember, at Babel, that's where false worship began, because Nimrod, his wife/mother, Semiramis, she was worshipped as the mother goddess. Nimrod was worshipped as the father god, and their child Tammuz was the divine child. And when the nations were divided, you notice that that same idea of a divine father, mother, or queen of heaven, and divine child migrated into all the other cultures. We see it in Egypt, which was the next dominant world empire. You have the mythology of Osiris, Isis, and Horus. Same kind of deal. You take it to Mesopotamia. You have Ishtar or Astarte, who is also called the queen of heaven in the Bible. Yeah, you can find these statues, these mother-child statues all over the world, because that religion, that first false religion, went through the entire world. That's why in Revelation chapters 17 and 18, you have this entity which John sees a vision of, this wonder, who's called the mother of harlots, Babylon, the great mother of harlots, the original harlot. That is, to a degree, Semiramis, but also all false religion, because all false religion began at Babel.